15 have shared their life stories so fast. So we're almost coming to an end. Sharan, who's going to be interviewed tonight by Anu, was born in Kenya to a family from India. She was educated in London, has lived in many different countries, however, is always drawn back to India. She went to Darjeeling as a volunteer teacher in 2007 and now has set up a UK-based trust to help educate many children from underprivileged background. The trust has also rebuilt a home for over 100 children, which had been badly damaged over the years. Sharan continues to also work for an organization in London, which integrates refugees through employment. She helps them to prepare for job interviews. Over to Sharan and Anu.
Hi, Sharan. It's such a pleasure to connect back with you again. And I'm saying back with you because we did meet last week. And, with each one story that's coming up over here, I feel my world is changing. I often question myself, why is it that I am sitting down here and doing these interviews? It's very interesting how each one's life touched my life in many, many, many ways. So I'm in deep gratitude to each and every one of you, especially Anya, because she basically said, this is what we're going to do, and will you please be there? And I said, yes, of course. And then with Claudia, a beautiful soul who's connected all of you. And of course, with you and all the other authors. So I want to know, why did you name your chapter The Trust That Whispers in Your Heart? Why did you call it Trust That Whispers Your Heart? Whispers in your heart. Thank you.
Thank you, Anu. Thank you for that beautiful introduction, Anya. We all have that whisper. I think the whisper is your intuition. And there's something always saying within you, which you feel deep inside. And that's the truth. That's your calling. But how many times do we ignore it? How many times have I ignored it? I know I have. But when I've trusted it, great things have happened. So it's just trusting your whisper, trusting your intuition. I think it's another word for intuition for me.
So when you say most of us don't connect to this, right? We don't kind of feel that it's like connecting to the significant other part of you, connecting to your passion, connecting to why you came, your purpose, basically. So can you tell us what was your purpose that you connected with, and how did you feel after connecting with this purpose that you created for yourself? Thank you.
The purpose now, or purpose or at various points in my life?
Whichever way you want to take it, it doesn't matter. Thank
okay. You. The purpose, there have been a few where I was at a crossroads. I had gone back to Kenya. I'd finished my studies. I had reached that stage where, coming from an Indian background, the family was expecting for me to get married. I was being introduced to prominent men that were suitable as a husband. And my inner whisper said, oh, darling, this is not what you want right now. And I came back to England and decided to go and visit a friend in America. He just said, come and visit me. And I was at the US Embassy. And those days we had to go physically and get visas. And I was in the queue to get my visas, and there was a gentleman standing next to me, and I was reading a book and I didn't want to talk to him. And, eventually I spoke to him, and he had about 20 passports in his hand. We got talking, and guess what? He was a recruitment consultant. And that little whisper sort of said, talk to him, just talk to him. And I went to New York. He'd given me his card. I fell in love with New York. Who doesn't fall in love with New York? I was in my 20s, and I called up, his name was Lloyd Archibald Williams, and I telephoned Lloyd. I trusted, I thought, I'm going to trust this guy who was a complete stranger. And guess what? I got a job and I moved to New York because of that two instincts, that I wanted to come back from Kenya, explore more. And then I spoke to Lloyd. Why that day did I go to the embassy, that particular day? Lloyd was right behind me. And I didn't want to speak to him. I spoke, something said, just talk to him. He seems, he's being really gentle with you. And I got a great job and I moved to New York. So
wow. That seems like as if you were, and various parts in your story spoken about how people, things have moved towards you. You didn't have to do much. Sometimes on the stairs, you're meeting someone. Right now, you're meeting your friend who's basically helped you to get a job. And yet you had decided right at the age of 11, when your parents went to India and they bought saris for your wedding, you weren't going to get married. You didn't see yourself in those saris. Could you explain, how does an 11-year-old know that she's not going to get wrapped up in that 9 yards and she's not going to restrict herself into any kind of tradition? Could you please explain that?
Wow, I wish I could take myself back to the 11-year-old. And know what I know now. That would be fantastic. I don't know, Anu, there was something so deep inside me, something so deep. I had seen, at 11 is the age when, you suddenly start noticing men or noticing things around you. And I remember one particular instant, there was this beautiful lady who was quite a few years older than me. And this was all in Kenya, and she had committed suicide. And for me, that was such a big word, and I didn't really know what it meant exactly, but Mum told me what had happened in a gentle way. And then I found out that she wanted to get married to somebody that she'd met. And she was in love with him, but her parents would not let her get married to that man. And they wanted her to get married to somebody of their choice. And she just lost the will to live. I don't exactly know what happened, but I just remember being heartbroken for her. And I just felt it was unfair. And then I don't know whether that was a little spark in my head, but I just wanted to know more. And I'd seen family, friends, or daughter-in-laws come into these homes, and they were always being the good woman in the house. And I felt they were not happy. Maybe I just felt they weren't happy. I don't know. But I just wanted to do more. And it was just a deep instinct.
Wow. On one end, you have parents who at a very tender age, like 11 years old, you're just 11 years old, and they want you to get married. They're like really holding these saris, they're getting them. And on the other end, you're looking at all these women wrapped up beautifully. But it's almost as if they're wrapping up their desires, their needs, their choices. And the only choice that they have is to be a good person. So Sharan, who is a good person? And how do you identify someone as a good person? Do they have to be wrapped up in a sari? Do they have to, bring children into this world? Do they have to be wrapped up like that? Or who's a good person? I'm very confused here. Thank you.
Oh my goodness, what a question. Me being Miss Goody Two Shoes would say, like when I was growing up and I would have this angst, I said, I wish I had just got married. I didn't have to struggle to pay for my rent. pay for my, everything I did myself because I wanted to do things myself. So the Miss Goody Two Shoes would say, oh, somebody wrapped up in a sari, married in, those Bollywood films, it's happily ever after. There's a big house, everybody lives together. And of course, that's my imagination. I don't know what a good person is. A good person is somebody who just lives, follows their dream, is kind to the world, is honest, is sincere. And it's not an easy question to ask because it's such a big question. But for me, it's somebody and who accepts non-judgment, because I was judged for so long and I still get judged now.
So are you saying all those people who are judging you aren't good?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. But no, I'm not saying that. But full acceptance of somebody the way they are, and everybody has their thoughts on certain. I mean, everybody has to have their view, which is fair enough. So,
so Sharan, when you are talking about the world where people accept each other, where they're allowed to make choices as one of the criteria for you to live, then why are you? So let me finish the first part. I see that you didn't wrap yourself up in a 9-yard sari, and you didn't wrap yourself in the old traditions. But there is a tradition which is older than all this. And that's a tradition where we want to be validated. We don't want to disappoint anyone. That goes beyond the 9 yards of a sari. That goes beyond being just judgmental. Why do you wrap yourself up in that 9 yards of validation that you require from everyone? And you put it down in your story. I feel I may have disappointed people. Could you please explain that? Thank you.
Anu, so my parents left India probably in the 1930s. They came with certain ideas and views, the way we should live. Their passion for India never left them. They brought us up, although we were in Kenya, we were being educated in British schools. On a Saturday, we had to go and learn Gujarati, Hindi, learn to cook. It was like, we mustn't forget all our traditions. We mustn't, it was so, I think some of the rituals we also had were back there. I've realized that over the years that this is how we grew up. And even coming to London, we kind of continued. And India has changed, but we, in a way, did not change. And I see that even when like, for instance, I'm wearing a sleeveless top and I did it deliberately because when I was growing up, Mum would say, cover your arms, you cannot do this, So I felt the way we were brought up, the way I was brought up, I was expected. And then I was always trying to say, well, I'm going to do my own thing, but please approve of me, but please validate me, please, and I think that's my insecurity. And it was maybe part of acceptance because I'm going to use this word, I'm going to use this phrase, and I didn't belong in that conventional family. So I'd go to weddings and in my sari. I mean, in fact, initially I used to go in mini skirts and my mother would just roll her eyes and send me back home. And I had to wear a sari and come back. And it was always a struggle. It was always a struggle for me to walk into a wedding and my mother would look at me hoping it would be me. So I think, and I felt I was disappointing her. I felt I was, and that's, it's love for my mother, my mother's love for me. And yet I know she accepted. I know I lost her quite a few years ago. She said she was proud of me, but there was that disappointment that I didn't get married. So that's my my
Thank
being.
you so much. Thank you so much. It felt as if that disappointment that you're feeling, or it also feels as if, this need to be validated is a very conditioned need that's been created in you. It's almost like India or any other place hasn't changed. And I think this is one tradition that is beyond India, beyond anything, where people are constantly looking for validation from others. It just may be the mini skirt to a sari in our culture, but it could be something else in someone else's culture. My question goes back again, Sharan. A girl who at 11 could decide that she's not going to be in that sari. Why is she apologetic about the choices she's making? Thank you so much.
Oh, I wish it was a straight answer. Why am I being apologetic? There's something in my being that I just feel I didn't do the right thing. There's something in my being that, and I can't pinpoint it to anything in particular. It's like, oh, I haven't done this, and that makes not wrong, but unacceptable. If I had done this, then it would be acceptable. It's just in my being. And I recognize that something energetically, maybe I brought this from one of my past lives. And maybe I've come here to heal that. I don't know.
Okay, Sharan, so I'm going to ask you a very funny question. Is that okay?
Try.
Suppose, let's say today there's a miracle that happens in your life.
A what?
A miracle. Magic. There's magic that happens in your life. And after we complete this session today, you go off to sleep. And when you go off to sleep, magically everything is changed. And the problem of you disappointing people has completely vanished. Like it's not there anymore. And you get up in the morning and you realize something has changed about you. And others look at you and they also know something has changed or shifted. What would it be that would be different that would have happened then? How would you know that the magic has happened? How would you know that now you're not disappointing people anymore? How would you know that people around you are completely validating your choices, looking at you and saying, wow. And you're getting exactly what you want on their faces, in their voice, in their personality and everything. How would you know that? How would you know what's happening differently?
Magic. And let me tell you, I have that already. I have that already. I have family, friends who think and tell me, that, wow, we're so proud of you. The magic is there. The magic is there. It's just me. It's just me starting to believe myself.
Okay. So how will you approve of you? What will be different that you will not be disappointed with yourself? When you get up in the morning, everything is different.
Davinder will relate to this. I would stop thinking of what other people are thinking of me. If somebody is not talking to me, it doesn't matter. If somebody has said something to me, it's okay. Anya will agree. Forget about what something happened an hour ago, rather than mill it over and just, think, forget it. It's gone. So it's just me not worrying about what other people think. If they don't want to speak to me, they don't speak to me, because I take it all to heart. So for me, that will be the magic, that I don't have that. I don't worry.
Okay, wonderful. Now that has happened, that you're not really mulling over what people are saying. You're not bothered. You still care about them, but you're really not bothered about what they have said or not said, why they're talking to you or not talking to you, or why they're behaving in a certain way or not behaving in a certain way. Then how will your life differ from
How will my life differ
Yeah.
from all that? Maybe I'll be lighter. I'll have I won't spend too much time writing my journals and thinking, saying, I said this and this is how I feel, and self-analysis maybe. This is the overthinking. I will not overthink.
Okay.
And much calmer in my head.
Okay.
I'm getting
So
there.
what will be the difference when you will not be overthinking and you'll not be writing in the journal? What will be different then about you?
Not a great deal, but just more joy. And I mean, I have joy. What will be different about me? Not just be at one with myself, which I am most of the time, but just those moments. So have more peace of mind, more calmness, self-acceptance. I think that's my big thing. It's total self-acceptance.
Wonderful. So now let's carry this beautiful Sharan, who's in total self-acceptance. Let's take her to Darjeeling. How will she relate to children over there differently? Because now she's one with herself.
Let me tell you, when I'm in Darjeeling, I'm one with myself. I have no problems in Darjeeling. I arrive and my heart is singing there.
Wonderful. But when you have this gift with you, forever, how are things different for the children who are relating to you?
The children never ever see this side of me. The children,
they always see. We are never so good at hiding. They always see.
Do you think so?
101%. They always sense it. Children are the best people to always sense something is not the way it is. Remember, you at 11 had already decided. Remember?
Yes.
You didn't tell that to anyone. You had already sensed what suicide is, and you had already made up your decisions. And someone looking at you and thinking, oh God, she's disappointed that she's not married, to now, oh, I'm one with myself. How will life differ for those girls and boys that you are touching?
You know what? Honestly, in Darjeeling, it's how will they differ? I
What
don't know.
if they knew, Sharan? What if they knew if they didn't get married, it isn't going to disappoint you?
If they didn't get married, won't disappoint me. Is that a question? Do you know what? They are struggling sometimes just for their own growth or their own living. That
I'm going to just stop you here. I'm just going to stop you here. Sharan, remember you said, if I get married, then I don't have to pay my own rent. When they're struggling, they're looking at marriage as a privilege, which is going to take them away from all the rentals and all the problems, financial burdens. But what if that goes away? What changes for them?
What changes? They'll be freer. They'll have more. They'll take more opportunities, which is what we're offering right now. We're offering them education. We're also offering them health, for their health and well-being. So they know that they are safe. That their education is being paid for. They get opportunities to get their jobs. A lot of young adults have gone off and got their jobs, and they come and speak, and they speak with joy. So it's giving them independence and freedom, which I want them to have.
You also had education out of the country in UK. And if education alone bring that freedom that you're looking for?
Yes.
Can it? It's a question. Can education alone and give them opportunities that you're wanting them to have?
You
Or
know,
do they have to change the mindset?
well, I hope education gives them a greater thought process. One of the things I remember when I was young and I went to this Catholic school, the Mother Superior says, you can do anything. As a woman, you can do anything you like. But the other thing she also told us, people can take everything away from you, but they cannot take the knowledge, cannot take the education from you. You know, so with that knowledge, we're just giving them a good platform for them to make decisions. The decisions will be theirs. I would never say, tell them what decision to make. So education is a basis. It's
Thank you
not the
so
only
much.
thing.
It's not the only thing. You also speak about your aunt back in time who lived with you. And beautifully, you connected and said she was a Muslim and she was a Hindu. Could you explain how can she be two religions in one person? And what is an impact she left in your life?
Amazing religious tolerance. From, you know, I was so young, so, you know, I hardly knew her, but my mother told me when I was a bit older that she had, my great uncle was living in Sindh, which then became Pakistan, and they had got married, and in fact the family didn't really know. My great uncle was banished, and I don't know the whole story because I wasn't there, but I was told that they were banished, but somehow the family managed to get his wife over. How that happened, I have no idea. Who she came with. I think there was a secret that what religious background she was from, you know, what religious background, but the inner family knew. And this was all in India. And then because we were in Kenya, she came over with us. And, you know, initially I thought, I didn't even realize who she was. She was always working in the helping mother in the kitchen. She was always kind to me. She was always really gentle. And I remember she used to fast, but, you know, we used to fast, but she used to fast for longer. And I think she was doing the Ramadan now. She was accepted. She never imposed any religion. She followed whatever was, she was very quiet. She didn't speak much. And she did not even like, now realize she didn't even like when we went out for picnics or weddings, she didn't want to come with us. But my mother would make sure she would come, but she never came forward. You know, she sadly, she didn't come to England with us. So, you know, I didn't spend much more time with her, and I wish I had. So it was religious tolerance more than anything.
Oh, I love the way you say she didn't have any religion.
There
wasn't even any religion. That's what you said. She didn't really follow any single religion.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yes.
There's this concept of a suitable boy that goes on in India even today. Could you explain to people what's that tradition of a suitable boy? And I think you found that suitable boy in Richard. And what's an impact he had on your life?
Wow. Whoa, Richard. Oh gosh, I had known him for a long time, and he kind of, you know, pursued me. It was great. We were young, we were together, we bought a lovely apartment in New York, and I just thought, this is it. I have found the person I want to be with, you know. My family was kind of happy, and you know, of course he didn't come from, you know, my background, but that was okay. There was, thank God she's met somebody. And but there was a side to him that I had never really seen. You know, there was a side to him which really shook me one day, where his younger brother had come over from England to visit us, and we were just watching some TV. We were watching a really interesting movie, and it was, and he brought a new stereo system. I don't know. I hate all that equipment. And he just wanted us to go into the other room to see what he'd brought. And I said, oh, we just watched this film. We'll come and see you in 2 minutes. And then he came into the room and he switched the TV off. And, it's like, oh my God, don't. We don't watch this film. And I switched it on again. And then he switched off. Now, I never swear, and I'm not even going to use this word right now, but I swore and told him to just leave the room. And he was shocked because I was so angry, and he hit me across the face. And in that instant, I just knew that was it. I was just walking out, and I did. So all my dreams in that instant, what I had created, I knew it was right for me to just go. Because I had worked with a refuge in England for women that had, it was a refuge for Asian women who had, domestic abuse, and I'd seen it, and my parents had never hit me, so why should I let anybody? I knew it, and I walked out.
You've also worked or carried women in the back of your car who had been through domestic violence. According to you, why does this happen? I mean, he was perfectly fine with you. You've never had such an experience with him before. Why do you think a person suddenly loses it all and starts behaving in the way that they do? What do you think happens?
Well, the thing is, I found out from his sister afterwards that his father used to do that to his mother. And I had never, ever realized it when I used to visit them. I don't know. It's power, control. It's like, do what I say. Whether he'd seen it, his dad doing it, and felt it was okay for him to do that to me, I don't know. And he asked for forgiveness, and he said he'd never do it again. And I said, I'm not waiting. You've done it once, and I said, I'm not waiting. And he just couldn't believe it, that I stood firm and left.
Sharan, have you realized that's one of the biggest qualities that you have in yourself? That you're very firm about what you want. You were very firm at 11 that you didn't want to get married. You were very firm about having a man of your choice. And you were very firm about not staying in a relationship and waiting for something horrible to happen again. And it looks as if you got this understanding by just looking at other people. The other women were going through mess. You were making your calculations looking at that mess. And then you were telling yourself, no more, I'm not going to do this to myself. How did you do that? From where did you get that strength? A minute ago, you were in love with this guy. He was the suitable boy. And the minute later, you knew that if it's happened once, it can happen again. How did you have the strength to walk out and do what you did? Really, thank you.
Thank you, Anu. It's a very important question. When I was volunteering for this refuge, we had a little bit of training. I was young, and all I had to do was take these women who had been abused domestically would come to the center, and we had to take them to a safe house. We had to take them to a house where the family or the husband wouldn't find them. And I would just drive them, but I couldn't ask them questions. That was one of the things, that I couldn't get into a conversation of what happened, So I would be driving, taking them to the safe house and just leaving. And then about 2 weeks later, I would be called again. And guess what? It's the same woman I'm driving back to a safe home. And I wanted to ask, saying, what happened? I thought I left you. But obviously, I think they were going back to their husbands, the home. They didn't have the privilege I had of a job, an education, independence. So they were going back, and this was happening again. And I spoke to my supervisor, and she explained to me that this is like a not a routine. What's the word I'm using? It's a pattern. And so somewhere in my mind, I thought, oh, if anybody hits me, I'm not stunned. Maybe that's what was planted at that time. We didn't have that in, my parents' punishment was I had to write some lines or say a prayer for 20 minutes or something. That was our punishment, but we were never hit as children or even as adults, never.
Sharan, I personally know of many, many women who have a lot of money. They are in the choices that they have made, and maybe the choice that they made is more about the person they got married to. In the new India, there are girls who get married to whoever they want to. And somehow they're never able to tell their family that somebody is hitting them, beating them up. They need to put up a big show in front of other people saying all is well. And it's really important for them to create that facade around themselves. They don't have the firmness that you have. I really don't think it was about that you were privileged, you had the money, or you were not beaten or hit before, because I know of many women who've never been touched in a wrong way, like hit or anything like that at their family home, but they do suffer a lot after they get into a relationship. So what do you think, from where do you think this firmness has come in you?
It was definitely like my self-respect and it's not right. And especially his brother was sitting there as well, who was like in tears now. I just knew the firmness came because it's just not right. It's not right. It's something, don't do, I was really lonely. I mean, you can imagine in the morning, my life was very different to the evening.
Sharan, you never questioned at that point whether you're disappointing anyone. You never asked anybody for validation.
No, because I think at one point I was a bit thinking, oh, my family would say, oh, here we go again. She's left a suitable boy, she it took me a while to tell them, but I was thinking, oh God, here we go. They'll say, what is she doing? So it wasn't. No, I didn't. I wasn't worried about. But I know that thought. For a long time, I thought, yeah, they're disappointed. I've left a suitable boy. Until I didn't have to explain in some ways, but I did say a couple of things. But yeah. So I didn't need validation. I knew I was right.
So if I was looking at the lady who said you can do everything in your school, she said you can do everything. Then you have your aunt who says you are like you roar like a tiger, And then we have you looking at two little girls sitting in a little space in Darjeeling, and you call them your angels. It seems as if you're surrounded by women who are Shakti, that is a lot of strength of the Durga. And at the same time, there's this whole side of wanting validation, quiet, sitting in the corner. What's this amazing mix of these two strengths going together? And from where did you get that? You seem to be a combination of silently watching other people, having your own strength. You also have a lot of women around you telling you, yeah, you can do it, or they're sitting quietly in a corner, like your aunt. She had She was a Hindu, she was a Muslim. Then you have these two girls sitting in Darjeeling, just sitting at the end. And they seem to be talking to you even in that silence. They seem to be telling you things even in that silence. And you seem to be observing that, the whole show going on. What are you observing there? How is it touching your life?
Oh gosh, you know, while you were talking, my mother came in my head. Was my mother was so much older when she had me, um, and and in some ways, I just sort of felt there was a gentleness about her, but a determination as well. I have, you know, having a much older mother. She was actually a grandmother when she had me. So she was having a much older mother, and then having all these other people around me. I think I observed a lot, because sometimes I was thinking, she never said this, but I just almost felt that I came into her life at such a later stage, that I was looking at so many other people, seeing their strengths. My mother had her strength in her way. So, but I was just determined to make a go of my life, and help. I think it was just, I also wanted to help, wanted to sort of contribute to the world. While I feel that while I was here, I came much later in life. Maybe my parents had their family, and here I arrived. So I even when I was young, I used to do a lot of what, you know, like I wanted to go and help people, you know, at a young age. If somebody didn't have enough food to eat, Mom, I would say, Mom, can we go and give them some food? So I think at a young age, I always felt I wanted to do something more than what was around me. Am I answering your question? I'm not quite sure. So it's just wanting to make a difference, wanting to help, wanting to just make a difference. While when I can, I try. You know, Darjeeling was just, I mean, it's been an amazing gift for me. I feel, you know, I was going to be there for 2 months, and here I am, like 14 years later, continuing to keep. I would have been there now, you know, continue to go there, and it enriches my life. And working with some people here, I work for an organization, you know, these are refugees who've had to leave their countries, and helping them to get jobs. You know, it's an organization which is funded by the government here. And it's amazing to see what can be done with little help.
So Sharan, you also mentioned that authenticity liberates you and gives you freedom. Could you explain that a bit more? What do you mean by because people like hiding. And in your story, all these women were not talking, they were hiding. But they were being authentic in their hiding, or were they hiding in their hiding? And how did they get freedom from that authenticity? Thank you.
Did they get freedom in their authenticity? Did they get freedom though? I don't know. Did they get freedom?
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't know if they got freedom. They made choices. Some people just make choice. I've made choices, or opportunities have come my way and I've taken them. I love this phrase, feel the fear and do it anyway, which is something, you know, even this interview is feel the fear and do it anyway. So all these women, authenticity really, it enables you to shine your light. I find it tough sometimes to be authentic, because there is still that little bit of pleasing validation comes. It's something I need to heal. I know that there's something deep inside I need to heal. Am I still trying to prove? I don't know.
So what, according to you, is authenticity?
Just to stand in your own power, in your own belief, in your, sort of accept when sometimes if things are not going the way I think they should go, oh, do I beat myself up? But it's not, I know it's not necessary, and it's not right. But I do, and whatever it is, I think, what am I learning from here? So authenticity is to just stand in your power, shine your light, and an acceptance of other people the way they are, and not be affected by their opinions. But that's something I'm working with.
Thank you so much for being so vulnerable and so honest. My mentor, Dr. Kwesi, always says, be authentic, because when we are not authentic, that's a place of disease. When we are authentic, we are vulnerable, and vulnerability is a place of creation. And I know that most of the women that you met were very vulnerable, whether it was your aunt, whether it was those two girls, whether it is the children that you're helping with. How does vulnerability touch you?
Wow, vulnerability really shows me the true self of a person. It shows, yes, it shows the true self.
Thank you, Sharan. Have you ever seen unauthentic crying?
Have I ever seen unauthentic?
Crying, tears?
Yes.
And have you ever seen unauthentic smiles?
Of course.
How would you then know what's authentic and what's not authentic?
Yes, you asked some really hard questions. But authenticity is, when somebody is being authentic, it's just a different smile. It's a different tear. It's just different. It feels different. It's something inside. It just feels different. People can say, sometimes they say all the right things, and they're not being authentic because they just want to say the right things.
Thank you so much, Sharan. I'm going to come back with the last question, but before that, we have beautiful Devinder here, Astrid here, and Anya. Could you just help out here with this question, because this is really doing rounds in my head. How do you think vulnerability, freedom, authenticity, all this comes together? Anya, would you like to have a go, or Astrid, or Devinder?
I agree. It's a difficult question. Authenticity. I claim a lot. I don't know, Sharon, like you said, you feel it in people if they're not authentic, if it's like a show. You can feel it. It's a good question. How do you... Yeah, I agree with you, Sharon. You feel it. You can see it. You can... I think when you're yourself an authentic person, you can see someone else playing a show or trying to put a facade. And the facade is sometimes also fear, where people are scared to be authentic. And I think it's also age. as you grow older,
I really, really appreciate what you're doing, Anya, what you're doing, Sharon, because this is one question. It had come in your passage, and I'm looking at it and I'm saying these are different words popping up, and they are very strong words.
they're very strong words, yeah. And like if I talk for myself, if I look back now, I think I'm an authentic person. And I come back again to the word fear. A lot of people put a facade up, they put a wall around them. And they don't want people to see. But you know what? It's a show, so you do see it. I don't know how to explain. It's difficult.
Thank you, Devinder. Go ahead.
It's just one word I think I sum up. It's energy. It's the energy that you feel when you're with certain people and you know the authenticity isn't there, but the facade. So it's probably just one word for me.
Mm.
I think you've said that extremely well. A little child in the mother's arms, a little baby knows whether the mother really is putting up a facade or whether the child is really loved or not. I'm very sure that that feeling that that child has in an orphanage is very different from a feeling a child has when he's sitting in the warmth of his mom's lap. And yet this is one area that so difficult to kind of put together. Astrid, do you have any thoughts around it?
Yeah, the thought that came up to me was authenticity may also be influenced by freedom. If you have the freedom to be yourself, and if you're grown up and raised in freedom, then you grow and learn to be authentic. When you're limited, whether it's limited in love, and limited in what you can be, limited in what you can do and say and be in this world, then I think that we then get to face fear, but we also get to face sometimes shame and stuff like that. So then it affects our authenticity. So to me, authenticity goes back to the level of freedom that we grow up with, or that we get through our lives.
Thank you so much. I also feel very strongly that freedom is a word that's not understood very easily, because I don't think any of us have really allowed our souls to feel the freedom that we should. This is how I feel. And to be authentic is a task by itself, because we are so much in layers that we don't realize that we would like to be authentic, but I don't know how. I don't know whether we are 100% authentic and still feeling free about it. Yeah. So the last question of the day for you, Sharon, is around love and support. And you write, love and support have no barriers. I have learned that the person one admires is a reflection of one's soul. Could you please explain these lines? They were very beautiful, but I wanted to know, what are the barriers that love and support have? And when love and support is together, why does love and support have no barriers? And yet I see all around me only conditional love, conditional support. Could you please explain this? Thank you.
You know, one of the biggest things, especially writing this book and this wonderful group that we started, Claudia started Coffee Morning. There was love and support. There were no, we were just on the screens and we had support from each other. True, I haven't even met Anya, and I feel I've known her from my childhood. You know, all of you. It's I've met Davinder, thankfully. But so, you know, love and support does not have barriers. When, you know, if you look at, if there's a disaster, how people come and help each other. You know, do they know what the background is? Do they know what's happening? You know, we've had bombings here, and you read about how people come and support. You know, they do it, because at the end of the day, you want the best for somebody. And for me, you know, the true love, true support has no barriers.
Thank you, Sharan. And what would you say about Afghanistan and what's going on right now? And how can we reach that love and support to people? It's not just Afghanistan, you are already reaching it. So what are the steps that you're taking to reach? What are you really doing? Because people don't know what work you're doing. I would really like you to tell people how you went selfless and really created something amazing.
In Afghanistan or in Darjeeling, you're talking
In
about?
Darjeeling. You can make another Darjeeling in Afghanistan.
Well, you know, seriously, I mean, I have my lovely next door neighbor who had to leave Afghanistan in the 90s. And I'm saying, what can we do? I can give you some money, but what can we do? But you're asking me what happened in Darjeeling. Ask me the question again about.
What have you done in Darjeeling? Because people don't know the work that you've done. So I would really like you to tell people what amazing work you've done. And when you're giving us what you've done, also give us the steps. So if someone is really in pain, like people are right now in Afghanistan and all over the globe, what steps can be taken to help people?
You know, the steps can be tiny. It can be tiny, and that's what it was. I had 2 months of work. I did not want to sit and watch TV and just, you know, go shopping. And I thought I want to make something meaningful for this 2 months. And I had an opportunity to teach in a municipality school in Darjeeling. I'm a keen hiker. The mountains beckon me. And I thought I'll go there, do some of my voluntary work, and then leave. Well, for me, it was an eye-opener, seeing the children that I was teaching. Some of the children just came to school because they got a free meal at midday, because it's a government initiative for them to have a free meal, a hot meal at lunchtime. I could see that sometimes you gave them a plate full of food, they will eat a little bit and then take the rest home. Or they would put it in a tin, and I said, what are they doing? And they were taking it home to their families. In the meantime, I would go and have a really hearty lunch somewhere. And, you know, it kind of touched me. And then I would go to this children's home, and there were all these girls who initially were really shy. And there were some girls who were orphaned, some girls who came from destitute background. Those 2 girls had been rescued from human trafficking, and they were there. I had no idea what I was expecting. And you know what I would be doing? I would be going shopping. I don't know if you've been to Darjeeling, but they have the most beautiful shawls, most beautiful jewelry. And I would be looking at them, and I would go to this children's home. So for me, it was like, oh my God, I'm spending all this, these kids have nothing. So it was in the back of my mind. And those 2 girls, in fact, who were rescued, I decided I was going to educate them. I asked the monk who runs the children's home, what can I do? And I decided I could send money, and they did a beautician course. And they have their own practice now. They have their own salon that they work in. So for me, that was like a little step. But little did I know what would happen when I came back to England. I would sort of tell people saying, oh my God, look, I've had this amazing experience. And I talked about it, and people would give me some money. They said, oh, here's £5, here's £10. And then I had a lot of money, but how do I send it? Who do I send it to? And I reached out to the organization that I went out with, because it was all organized by a company that actually sent me out for this placement. I said, if anybody's going to Darjeeling, can you please put me in touch, or I'm happy to tell them my experience. And there were so many people, they said, yes, we're going to Darjeeling. And there was 2 people who had just retired. You know, there are 2 English people who had retired, and they were in their 60s. And they invited me to their house for lunch and told them the story, that took the money. And then when they came back, they had the same feeling. So together, we thought, what shall we do? And we thought education. We'd never run an NGO or a trust. You know, I have a different career. So we thought, we'll educate them. We will give them stationery. It was just little steps. We were guided by he's a retired army major who was our contact in Darjeeling. And he guided us, saying, oh, you know, maybe we could do this. So initially it was educating, just providing schools with things that would help them, until the whole building project came up, which has been absolutely massive. It's taken us a long time to build the children's home, because if it had been in this country, it would have been demolished, because it was so unsafe for the children to be in. And we decided we would take on the challenge, and it's taken a long time because there's been a lot of political issues. You probably know in Darjeeling they want an autonomous state, so there is this, what is it called, a bandh, a strike, and so for 140 days nothing gets done, or you know, so we've had stops and starts, but we're almost there. We're almost finishing, and the children's home will become, it would have been completed had it not been for COVID. So all I'm saying to somebody, if there's something, just take that first step. I had no idea I'll come across these beautiful people who've come into, in fact, I had lunch with one of my trustees today, and he was a complete stranger. So there was a group of complete strangers who had the same idea. And we've been running the trust for 14 years now.
Wow, and how has it changed you as a person?
It's given me a focus. I have a focus. I have a I think focus is the main thing, but it's actually, you know, it's like, it's my baby, you know, and nobody can say anything against it, you know. So it's given me a big focus and a direction. So if you know, it gives me opportunities to learn more about myself as well.
Thank you, Sharan. That was a complete, you know, it just felt that I got touched in the most authentic manner, because it's not about doing a complete thing and putting out there. And the best part today, you called it your baby, from the last time to this time. Last time when I spoke to you, you were not very clear whether it was your baby or not.
Was I not?
Today you said, it's my baby, and if anyone says anything to that baby of mine, watch out. What a difference. Thank you, Sharan. It's been a complete delight to connect with you. Does anybody have any question for her, or they need to ask her anything, or say that, oh, it was really nice? You know, compliments are very good. It's very nice. Thank you.
Sharan, fantastic. Fantastic. And here is to authenticity.
Yes.
Sharan, what I wanted to share with you is that I enjoyed watching you on the stage. I know that it's not something you like to do, but you did so well. It was lovely to see you on the spot, in the spotlights. There's one takeaway for me. I loved your sentence, which was, feel the fear and do it anyway. That was a good one. I will keep that in my hard disk here. the one question I had, and you said that you felt that your mother was disappointed. And the question that came up to me when you were talking about her and about how you experienced, or how she might have experienced your choices in your life is, do you think that perhaps it was not just disappointment, but perhaps also the fear of of you not being protected? If you don't get married, then you will be lonely, you will be on your own and not feel protected. So rather a worry than a disappointment. That was my only question.
You're right, Astrid. That's a good question. Mum would say, when I'm not here, you will know. When I'm not here, because she held us, because when she was around, we'd all get together. And after she passed away, we drifted. But she said, when I'm not here, remember my words. And it was about, not having, yes, being lonely. You're right, Astrid, you've hit the nail. So she would say that. And I sometimes, when I'm really, really feeling low, I said, Mom, I know I remember your words now.
Thank you for answering the question, Sharon. You did great.
Thank you, Astrid. Thank you for your support.
Welcome.
Thank you, Astrid, for asking that question. It was beautiful. And yes, I'm sure your mom's going to be extremely proud of you. Extremely proud of you. Devinder, you have any question, anything to share with her?
Just want to say thank you, Sharon, for sharing your story and being there. It's nice to see another Asian woman speak her truth. So just gives us all a little bit more power to speak our own as well. So thank you.
Thank you for all your support.
Sharon, I really want to say a thank you to you, because last week we were almost wondering whether you would, even come on the Facebook.
Yes, I know. Yes, I had said no. And I thought about it one day. Why was I feeling this way? I asked myself, and it was, I don't want people to know. It was like this. And I said, come on, show up.
I'm very sure that they say at a micro level, when we make a difference in our life, at a huge level, it makes a difference in other people's lives. I'm sure all the children that you're touching today, with you standing in the limelight, you standing in the spotlight, you've given each and every one of them an opportunity to do the same, because you are their mentor. And if you can do it, everyone can do it. Thank you, Anya. And last words for Anya to conclude the topic before we go and we come back again. Thank you, Anya.
Yeah, Sharon, I am proud that you talked today. It took a lot of guts for you to sit there and not knowing what our Dr. Anu asks, and she digs and digs and digs, and you were fantastic. And like I always said, we write about our life. Well, not really. 12 pages doesn't give our whole life, but to write is one thing, but to talk is again another thing. And what I like with Anu is that we go deeper down, and it's been always very helpful to have these conversations also for yourself, to see what is going on within me. And Anu is very strong in doing and asking questions. And I thank you, Sharon, for coming tonight. And yes, you are shining your light. Merci. Thank you.
Thank you for the encouragement. And Anu, thank you so much. It's, there's so many questions I want to ask you. So maybe I'll interview you.
She wants
Yeah,
to
sure, go ahead.
session now.
Maybe the last session can be where all of you can have a go and a dig at my story.
Yeah.
Without knowing, I'm okay
Yes.
with it. Sharon, I also want to acknowledge, when you were talking, I was asking you the question about vulnerability, authenticity, and freedom. You did that today in real sense.
Thank you. Thank you. It's the confidence. And I think we talked last week, it's this sense of belonging. Although, for me, I have an Indian background, grew up in Kenya, lived here, lived in America, I've lived in the Far East. I come to India thinking, oh yeah, I'm coming, where people will say, yes, you belong here. And then they say, where are you from? So it's a sense of belonging, which sometimes I'm thinking, where do I belong? But you know what? This has really helped me. Thank you, Anu. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you,
for us.
Dr. Anu.
Thank you, Anya.
Thank you, Davinder, Anya.
Linda, bye, everyone. Thank
Bye.
you.
How many people did you have on Facebook?